Rachel and Sister Kim Malcolm. But you do know that it is customary in the African tradition that before we address the community, that we ask permission from one of our elders. I'm asking permission from the elder in the control booth to please give us permission to start.
You may speak.
All right, so we have 3 PSAs that we're going to get out of here right quick. We want to send our deepest sympathy to the Mitchell family out in Lurville, to Rose and David Mitchell. We're sending y'all our deepest sympathy for the loss of your son Kendall. We all grew up together, you know. He played with my son, with the children and everything, and we definitely know that this is a hard loss, and a loss for anyone that have lost a loved one, children, husband, wives, and stuff like that. We really, really send our deepest sympathy for that. Another PSA, well, the first PSA is there's going to be a barbecue plate sale Saturday, June the 29th, at 201 Dr. King Memorial Boulevard, formerly East Willow Street, and Lafayette 70501. And that's sponsored by Imani Temple number 49. And they're going to have pork steak or chicken, rice dressing, mac and cheese, sweet peas, roll, and a drink. And for more information, you could call 337-534-8878. 337-534-8878. They're asking that people participate as much as you can, and it's for a worthy cause. It's for a worthy cause. Another fundraiser that they're having the fundraiser for Mr. Scott Vital. Scott Vital, aka the real McCoy, is going to be July the 13th, and that's going to be at the Lurville Park in Lurville, Louisiana. And that park, that when they print things so small. It's going to be at 601 Ed Broussard Road in Lurville, Louisiana. 601 Ed Broussard Road, Lurville, Louisiana, 70552. They're going to have pork steak, sandwich, chips, and drinks. And also, we're getting into a real Robbie. Let's just go ahead and start with it. What's going on tomorrow, dealing with your book, Burden of Truth. This is Burden of Truth. We have a really easy read, a good read. People, this needs to be in each of our home, because the writing, the truth is always the truth, no matter how you look at it. And you need to go ahead and check it out tomorrow. Where y'all gonna be at, Miss Robbie?
We're going to be at 800 East Vermilion Street in Lafayette, Louisiana, at the Africana Bookstore.
Say that again.
800 East Vermilion Street, Lafayette, Louisiana, at the Africana Bookstore, and it's going to be from 2 to 4, book signing and author talk.
All right. Tell us, just dive right up into it, Robbie.
Well, The Burden of Truth is the story of my family and my community in a lawsuit. And my family has lived in New Iberia for generations. We have owned 23 acres of farmland outside of the town of New Iberia, in the parish of Iberia, in Belle Place, Louisiana, between Olivia and Lorville. We've owned this property since shortly after the Civil War. My grandfathers had the deed to the property. My family farmed that land for many years, and when the oil companies came to Louisiana around 1917, they started taking oil from my family's property without the permission of my grandfathers. They are still taking oil from my family's land, and we have never been compensated. After the oil companies came, a neighboring farmer started farming on our family's land, and my grandfather's was a laborer on his own land, working for a few pennies a day. He worked on his own land as an enslaved man, and the family couldn't do anything about it because the legal system at that time, and even now today, does not serve the interests of blacks in Louisiana, and the lawyers didn't work for the black families. That has changed a little in the recent years, and I thought I had a chance because of changes to the justice system that my family would get justice. But the justice system hasn't changed enough. And the book tells the story of my efforts to find justice for my family and my community and the corruption I encountered along the way.
Yes, yes. And when I say that this is an easy read, it actually is. When I say that you're looking at factual facts, which it actually is. When I say go to camera 3, that's what I actually mean. And so, Kim, you got to go ahead and tell me something about you and everything, because when I say that it's a easy read, when I say the information is power packed, help us to know a little something about you and your experience.
Okay, well, I came to Louisiana hoping to write a book about Zydeco trail rides, and when I wasn't very successful at getting information about that, I found an article about Robbie and her family in a small local newspaper, and I said to myself, this is the story I want to write about. And I tracked down Robbie's address online and showed up at her house one day and told her I wanted to write her family story. And since then, we've been working together. We worked together for several years on writing this story. Robbie telling me about her family, about the land, about the documents she spent 30 years researching, and the local pair system. And we published this book a few months ago as a memoir in Robbie's voice.
Yes, as a powerful memoir, because we've done the program on KIEE. I would say one of the highest rating that we ever received on the radio program was when we were on This Coming Wednesday. I mean, the phone call was it just relentless. And one thing else that's very important is the fact that we do have other people that is looking at the book and looking at the book real good, and they're going through it and they're like saying, well, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me. Again, Robbie, what actually took place? What actually took place that made you decide, well, it's time for me to do this. My papa, my grandfather, they asked me, my mother, they asked me, what was the force that really made you decide, I've got to do this?
It was my my search for the truth. It was to honor my my grandfathers, my dad, my family. It was to set out to make things right in both for my family and for my my extended family, which is my community. And I knew that not only did it happen to my family in such a great way, but it happened to so many families who look like me. Some of my neighbors, some of my friends, and their ancestors never had an opportunity to actually have their voices heard and their stories told. So after going through years of just relentless debating within myself, how do I do this, and honor those that left here before they could actually see justice done. Kim showed up at my door.
Yeah, and I agree with Robbie that this is a very powerful story because so many black families in the South have lost their land or their mineral resources and haven't been able to do anything about it because of how the system has been set up for generations to exclude black families from the court system, from the filing system of government. And Robbie is, she's not shared yet how much work this was for her over 30 years to pull together the documentation and to get the court to acknowledge the ownership of the land, the continuing ownership of her land, her family's land by her family, and then to finally get to court.
And I wanted to tell the truth because for too many years, the story of my family and their land has been lies that has been perpetrated among the white community. And I wanted to have the last say of what happened with my grandparents, with our property, our land, and for the courts to acknowledge that my grandfathers were somebody, that they existed, that they weren't just names on a paper. They owned valuable assets. They owned their land, and still today I pay taxes on that land. And we have never received any compensation for the oil, for the raping of the land, for the stealing of all the resources. And if our American system of justice wouldn't provide that for my family, I could at least tell my family and my community what happened to our land and our ancestors. And I wanted my grandfather and my great-grandfathers to have a proper burial so that they could rest in peace and give them the dignity that they deserved. I want my children and my grandchildren to know that what their ancestors experienced, and to understand that the land still belongs to them because of what their ancestors suffered.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is very powerful. And when I'm looking through the timeline, you have like in 1790, Joseph, is it Damas? Damas Carrier, the son of a free slave, inherits land in Appaloosa tract near Lafayette. In 1868, the grandson of Joseph Damas Carrier, Louis Carrier, take title to 23 acres of land near Little Bayou outside of New Iberia in Iberia Parish. The timeline is just so essential. And then when I go to 1998, how the date of document Glenn Romero a $60,000 bonus for permitting SONAT to conduct exploration on the Carrier property. Glenn Romero is right there from Lerville, where I'm from. We all somewhat was raised together. I remember them as being not too really friendly when it came down to some black people. But he also, Glenn had a pool. In that pool, one of his workers, Joseph went and he went to swim in that pool that he had. Did you know that he took the time and he drained that entire pool because an ant had went in the pool and everything like that? And the little house that he had then, you go and you drive, right? You could go and you could drive, and I could take you exactly where it's at. And they have like a a little mansion. They got house for their sons. So you know that all of this, it really came to play.
Yeah, I think to your point, and one thing Robbie didn't mention is that the royalties from that oil that had been taken off the carrier land has been given to 3 local white families, and
What's the local family's name?
we talk about them in the book: the Schwings, the Deweys, and the Romeros.
Mm-hmm.
And Robbie found dozens of documents that demonstrate how those families worked with the oil company to deny the carrier family what was theirs, and that's where Robbie spent a lot of her time researching in the courtroom, in the courthouse files. And I think it's also worth mentioning that what happened to Robbie's family, and what's so tragic to me, is that this fraud could not have happened without the help of government. Mm-hmm. And all levels of government and all branches of government in the parish, including the tax assessor, members of the court system, members of City Hall. A lot of in New Iberia are aware of what happened on the carrier land, and they won't talk about it to me. I tried with a couple of them, but it's an open secret what happened to the carrier land and to the land of many other families.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, we had people that had called when we were on the radio saying that they're going to be getting the book because the same thing happened to their property. You have Monell. She called and she said they got properties that right now that they've been fighting for years, and in order to fight, you can't just fight and say, well, you look, this is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Mm-hmm. You got to pay money to fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you got to find a lawyer who doesn't have conflicts of interest, who isn't already being paid by oil companies, mm-hmm. Or who won't be paid off by mm-hmm. oil companies. Mm-hmm.
And another thing that confuses me, and it doesn't confuse me. I'm just trying to make some kind of humor out of some of this BS. But when you look at the Judge Siege, when y'all went to Judge Siege, he had a hearing April 2019. He mentioned that the court dismissed Carrier lawsuit on the basis of prescription, finding that the Carrier waited too long to file their lawsuit. Explain to me.
Well, it's what Judge Siege did was a travesty.
Yes, that's
to
right.
Justice.
That's right.
And what he actually did with that ruling was literally set precedents for any other families who would come behind me or come behind my family. Those families would have a hard time because of the precedents that Judge Siege set, using prescription to deny the lawsuit, to close the doors on the lawsuit. And when he said that, it was during a 20-minute hearing. We didn't get an opportunity to present any evidence to support our claim, my family's claim. And one of the things that I always said, if I have 5,000 documents that says it's my family's land.
Correct.
And what did they have to show to the oil company to get the oil companies to give them the royalties off of land that was clearly my family's land then and still is today? And even when the succession was opened up in the courts on my grandfather's.
The succession meaning? The demonstration
The
that
demonstration
the family owned the land continuously since the 19th century.
Okay. Since the 19th centuries. So when we opened that succession up and the courts agreed to that succession, they came back and they actually said, at the time my grandfather died in 1943, the property was assessed at $100,000, clear, no liens, didn't owe anyone anything. And so I knew that he continued to own that property even today.
And the court has
And the
acknowledged
court
that.
has acknowledged it.
Okay, the court has acknowledged that. Except behind Sigi ruling, help me out here.
So the lawsuit after Robbie established that the land still belonged to her family continuously since the 19th century, Robbie's family filed a lawsuit against Chevron and the families who allegedly got the royalties from the oil that was extracted from the land. And that's when Judge Sigi said, you waited too long to bring this lawsuit against Chevron and these families in New Iberia. But we're not going to give you a chance to present evidence of your case, and the lawyers for the family conceded and didn't file briefs or any objections to the dismissal of the case. So we knew by then that the lawyers had been compromised because they never fought anything along the way once the lawsuit was filed.
And with the prescription, it said it didn't say it wasn't stolen, it wasn't taken, that they didn't get it illegally. All it said was that we waited too long to come and get it.
Yes. And if that in itself is not hypocrisy, I don't know what is. Because like I remember some 35, 40 years ago when the lawyers from the state of Louisiana had to take Louisiana to court because they would not allow black lawyers to become judges. Sister Akila Mawusi Ali was one of the judges. Sylvia Cook was one of the judge. Miss Alex was one of the lawyers that took Louisiana to court. And they won their case where, black lawyers can also become judges. It wasn't for a hypocrite judge like Sigi. Sigi, who is from Iberia Parish, and that is me talking, who is from Iberia Parish, he ran for a judge for almost maybe about a good 6 to 8 years. Always couldn't become one. And when he finally get a chance to become one, it was because they know I got the epitome of a Uncle Tom judge. This is what I have. Because even when you look at it, so I may have been a day late or I waited too long to gather up all the monies to be fighting, all of this. Still, where's the monies, the interest from the money? So you're saying is that these families that got the monies and did what they wanted to do with ill-gotten gain, like you spoke of before, it's legal for them. It's legal to steal when you have all of your the corporate people that's involved, that white privilege BS and everything. It's legal to do that, and that's why we're saying is that people, not just Iberia Parish, but people all over the world need to have this book. They could get this book on Amazon. Burden of Truth. This is the latest cover. Burden of Truth, and go ahead and read and take time to understand. This didn't just happen to the Carrier family. This has happened all over. And I remember my grandmother who didn't sign at all, but she would make an X. I remember my grandmother having papers that was drew up by one of those no good crooked attorneys, and you know who you are, and would bring papers, and so my grandmother would put the X. I sign my name. My grandmother put the X. But they kept on bringing papers after papers, and what wind up happening is that the low down, no good, crooked, that crooked lawyer took, and one of the papers that was slipped in stated, "Oh, and to my beloved son-in-law, I give this to him." That was a lie. That was an outright lie. Anybody could tell you my grandmother could not stand her son-in-law, with my mama. Anybody could tell you that, but it was stolen, not behind closed doors. It was stolen in the daytime.
Yeah.
And a lot of the documents in my family's case, my grandfather's case, they were not signed. They were not, there was no legal filings in the court system. They were just put in there. They were just put in there. And when Judge Siege said prescription, I immediately said, to myself, well, how is it we waited too long when my grandfathers did not have an opportunity
Yes.
to go to any court
That's right.
in 1917, 1920, 1950, 1960, whatever. They did not have an opportunity to go into no white man's courtroom.
That's right.
And say, these white men are trotting upon my land and they are taking minerals or raping my land. They have set up these wells next to my house and we have to live here. They are stealing the resources. They didn't have that opportunity. Where were they going to go? Not in Iberia Parish to say it, because Iberia Parish was running with the KKK,
Big time.
running the black lawyers and doctors and teachers,
Beating them up.
NAACP leaders out of town. So what would they have done to my grandfathers? And if they wouldn't have killed my grandfathers, they would have killed his wife, his children, or whatever. But my grandfather did not have
That's right.
access to justice then. And his granddaughter does not have adequate access to justice even now.
Even now. Caller, you're on. You have
Hello?
Yes, caller, you're on. You have a question or a comment.
Yes, sister. Good evening, Sister Khadijah. Good evening to your guests, Ms. Carrier and Ms. Melton. Malcolm. I'm sorry, Malcolm. Okay. Sister Khadijah, having experience as a talk show host and a community activist, and I'm listening to the story. I haven't read the book yet, but it sounds like an interesting read.
It is.
We have a couple of comments and a question. I'm going to try to make it quick. If you look at the history of Iberia Parish, and the book, somewhat of your narration, Sister Khadijah, it reads like a conspiracy of different families, right?
Yes, it does.
In different families, and different families that are connected directly or indirectly to the legal system in Iberia Parish, right?
Right.
Prominent names, right. And if you would look at the case of Sheriff Lewis Ackle, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to segue too far into that, but look how the connection of Lewis Ackle, third or fourth generation Lebanese, to the federal district chief judge, Richard Height. Look how far that with the connections in the courthouse. Look at the Dewey family, how the connections in the courthouse down to the criminal justice system. Prominent families. It's always been the same playbook when they want to acquire power and prestige and even political power in Iberia Parish and surrounding areas. So I just want to say that part. But look, I want to find out what is do Ms. Carrier and the co-author think there was a conspiracy to gain profits off of her family situation, and what are Ms. Carrier and Ms. Malcolm, what is the outcome that you seek from this whole exposing through the book and through legal means. But what's the outcome y'all seek? And I'm gonna hang up and take y'all answer off here because I'm at a disadvantage, Sister Khadija. I can't see y'all.
Okay.
So I just want to tell you, thank y'all for bringing this up.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Brother Jay. However y'all want to answer the question.
Well, the outcome that I want to see is that it be made right. There's no, I can't parse it no other way except I just want it to be made right. It was wrong then, it is wrong now, and it is not just my family that has been hurt by this, because those royalties, those dollars, those monies would have gone back into a community that was a beautiful community.
That's right.
The community I was born and raised in was a vibrant community, was a proud community. And over the years, that community, the West End, and people say, why you always talk about the West End? Well, if I don't talk about the West End, who's going to talk about the West End?
I talk about
The
it.
West End was a proud community, hard-working families there. And now, when I look and I hear somebody telling the young black boys and the young black girls, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You know, I'm sitting back because I know the story.
Yes.
And I'm sitting back and I'm wondering, well, what bootstraps are they going to pull themselves up with?
Can I just add that for those who don't know New Iberia, the West End is the black neighborhood that's on one side of the tracks. It's very poor.
Very poor.
The other side of the tracks is mostly white people who
Extravagant.
who are doing well, and I want to add that there's been a systematic disenfranchisement of the West End by local government. The city government, for example, has taken away the children's programs, the recreational programs, the swimming pool, the tennis courts. The office that provided government services and information about government services, all those things have been moved to parts of town where the people from the West End have to drive. Many of them don't have cars. There's no public transportation to speak of. And so it's a very difficult environment. And for example, the mayor just presented a master plan about 18 months ago, and there was not one thing in that master plan for the West End except more policing and more nonprofits. All of the projects were going to go to the white part of town.
Yes. Main Street.
Main Street and across the bayou.
And yes.
And the West End was a beautiful town.
It was.
It was a
Yeah.
beautiful community.
Historic.
It is the historical portion of the town. It is the gateway to the city.
That's right.
Of course, they've moved the sign, "Welcome to New Iberia," down St. Peter, I guess, further down. But West End, Hopkins Street, was the gateway to the city.
Yes, it sure was. It sure was. And as a matter of fact, brown sugar.
Brown sugar.
Brown sugar was the first parade was started by black folks that acknowledged. It was started by them and acknowledged the young, beautiful brown sugar. You know, and today, or for the last 40 years, you cannot, when they do their little parade down Main Street and everything, it's lily white. It's lily white. Sugarcane Festival, lily white. You know, black folks gonna participate with their trucks and their motorcycles and everything, but it's lily white. And the way that they just think that they can continue to do this, we have a jazz musician that's known all over the world. New Iberia decided to do something about the jazz musician and give him a park. That's a dump. That's a damn dump. That's what that is. But y'all can take and use taxpayers' money for Blue Dog in here. That Blue Dog, you know, the Blue Dog, the multi-millionaire that have a Blue Dog all over, and y'all sending taxpayers' money to Blue Dog himself.
Yeah.
And all I could say is that word of mouth. They're going to be in Lafayette tomorrow from
2 to 4.
2 to 4 at
Africana Bookstore, 800 East Vermilion.
Okay, come out there, get your signed autograph, get a chance to meet two powerful women that they don't take no, or I can't do this. They do it, and that's the type of people, that's the type of women that we need and everything. Because if we can't do nothing else but speak the truth, then that's what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say that one of the things I also said was that Iberia Parish will never be what it can be.
That's right.
And what it should be, because until it's made right, you can't build a house in midair and expect it to stay intact. The foundation was ripped from underneath many families that look like me. Mm-hmm. And until Iberia Parish make those things right, it will never be able to thrive. Businesses will continue to leave, and yes, some will come, but more will leave, because Iberia Parish is in a slump right now.
Complete slump.
Young families are leaving.
Yes.
To find something better for their children, and it seems as though Iberia Parish does not get that you can't build a community on a bed of lies and expect to thrive.
And secrets.
You just can't do it. And until those things, the veil comes off and raised up, and the lies are told and made right, it will never be what it can be. And my charge was to tell the truth. My charge, because tomorrow is not promised to me.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that what was in my head, that I knew, that I put it for my grandchildren and my children to know, and for other families to look at Burden of Truth and begin to have those conversations in your house. Because if you look like me, you have a story. Your grandparents had a story, and you need to be their voice.
Mm-hmm. And not only when you say you wanted to tell the truth, the whole truth, but everything is backed up with documents. I mean, completely documents. You could go from y'all started off in 1790 until 2020 and everything like that. This is backed up by truth. But another thing is that because of the continuous corruption in Iberia Parish, when we look from when you say that, I mean, everyone, they were co-conspirators. They were co-conspirators because you could not put this in the book without having the help of the assessor. You know, and when you look at the assessor, let's go to the assessor this side of town, this side, right up this side of town, and let's go through the entire fourth floor of the courthouse and everything. Majority employed people there, 98% are all white. 98% are all white. You're gonna see a sprinkle of a black here, a black there, and everything, but that's not the way it should be. Just like you want things for your family, I want things for my family. You want a white picket fence? I don't want no fence. Give me a black fence. It doesn't really matter.
New Iberia is almost 40% black.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And evidently, this was not shocking to you.
Oh, shocking to me. Everything in that book is shocking to me.
Right.
And I'll disclose that I actually adopted and raised a black child. And yet, in California, and yet when I came to the South, I'm shocked every day.
Right. Shocked every day, and that's coming from Miss Kim Malcolm. Miss Kim, it was just by the grace of God, alhamdulillah, that you were able to find Robbie in this newspaper and had the courage to go drive up to her house without any sunblock.
I know. I always say we're an unlikely pair, but we are destined to be together.
Yeah, when she knocked at my door and I got up, and I opened the door and here she is, little short white woman, and I laughed and I tell her, I said, Kim, I said, I thought I was short, but after looking at you, I don't feel so bad now. And even when she's not here,
Yes.
because I laugh because Kim would come in and nobody would know she's here. Nobody but me and Kim and my family. And then she would leave out, but we would talk for hours and hours and hours, and it wasn't easy for me to open up to her. It wasn't easy for me to because I saw corruption all around me.
Yes.
So I held tight to my grandfather's and my ancestors' story.
Yes.
I didn't want to just give it to anybody.
Yes.
Because their story was precious jewel to me.
Yes.
But after hours, I could feel the wall, and I told him, the wall is coming down. Just give me a little time. Give me a little time.
Right.
But that's how we should treat our ancestors' voices as precious jewels and give them that voice, because they're not going to rest in peace.
Yes, that's the truth.
Until they are spoken of in the dignity in which they lived and should have been.
Yes, indeed. And this is spectacular. Like I say, this is the book of all seasons. We need to get in touch with, I don't support Dr. Phil no more. We need to get in touch with the Oprah. How you get in touch with Oprah, Brother Jay, and send Oprah this book read, letting her know this should be one of the #1 bestsellers, because it's a blueprint. It's a blueprint for all of those that have gone through this and have continued going through this. Another lady told me, they showed me some papers with my ex that my grandfather had done, and she said my grandfather couldn't even make an X because he had bad carpal tunnel in his hand, and that X that they showed was like a perfect X. So the only thing that she's requiring is to tell the truth, be forward. Y'all need to return back some of that money that y'all stole. That's called corporate greed. That's called white collar crime. Y'all need to do that. Y'all need to make this a reality that we did steal this. My forefathers did steal this. I was part of the theft. Because you're accessory families and the millions of dollars that they do and everything like that. And I don't know what type of relationship that you and Robbie have, which is a really good relationship, but I'm more than sure pay everybody, pay you for your time, pay you for bringing this forward, because you put your life on the line, because you know how these low down people are, no matter where you come from. That's New Iberia. So we have closing comments, and we have 4 minutes, so I'm gonna give each of y'all 2 minutes, and make sure that you just go ahead and say where y'all gonna be at tomorrow, rain or shine.
Well, I just want to say the most important thing to me starting out, and I told him, was not about the money. Was not about the money, but it was about the truth.
Right.
It was about the truth and getting the truth out there and putting it so that my children, my grandchildren, and my community, you know, will know how to go forward.
And I mentioned something the other day that I want to reiterate here. For so many families in the South, a small piece of land, probably very marginal land, was all they got after generations of enslavement.
Right.
And losing their land or losing the resources on the land means they got nothing for the way their families were treated for generations.
Yes, indeed. And we're just about at the end of the program. We're going to put down multiple airings of the program, and I understand, Robbie, it's not about the money, but
my family do deserve the compensation.
Okay, all right.
They do deserve the compensation.
That's right.
But the beginning of it was about the truth.
The whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And there you have it. Burden of Truth. It's an easy read. Robbie and Kim, they diligently done their homework. Get the book, use it as a blueprint and everything, and enjoy it. Go on Amazon. I need to go on Amazon because I wanted to put something on Amazon, because there's a way that you could put something on Amazon. A comment? Okay, on Amazon. And yes, indeed, we're putting down multiple airings. And if you want to get in touch with Miss Robbie or Miss Kim, you could just get in touch with me or Brother Shahid at AOC, and we'll check and give you the information that you might need. But tomorrow, don't forget tomorrow, where they're going to be at tomorrow. Keep on, go ahead.
I just want to mention that you can get this book at the Books on the Tesh.
Books on the Tesh.
In New Iberia. It's there now. And you can also order through any bookstore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And Director, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. We appreciate AOC that's given us the opportunity to bring another fantastic program here to Southwest Louisiana. We got to get in touch with Oprah Winfrey to let her know this is a book that she needs to be reading, and put on her book club to read, and everything. And again, we want to thank these courageous sisters for coming out and sharing the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And the outline that they left for us is superb. The outline that they left for us is superb. I'm working on myself a book too, and everything like that. And so eventually I'm going to finish it. And yes, indeed, we just know that they are blessed, and we want to thank God. We want to thank Allah. We want to thank the ancestors for giving us this opportunity to bring this forth. And share the program. Call your mama, your brother, your sisters. Call everybody. Let them know, hey, you got to get the burden of truth. You know, this is what you need to be reading. This is what you need to have for your children and your grandchildren. You know, and we need to do a book. We need to do a book club on it. You know, Brother Uku at Umoja Bookstore. You know.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music.